Report of the New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fives News Report. You know, got this loose ass white beater on, but it ain't about fashion, it's about the fact. So make sure you sign that petition, y'all. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find that change.org link in the video description. If you're watching this on YouTube or in my Instagram account, GradyGrant716, you'll find the link in the bio. Lays out exactly why you should be removed from that platform. And you gotta sign it. At least take the danger of his tweets away if the impeachment trial doesn't go that way. And it seems like it's not. And that goes into my headline where the Senate impeachment trial kicked off. Democrats spent 2 days giving their arguments. They're going to spend another day today giving their arguments. And then tomorrow on Saturday, the Republicans will actually give their arguments. Now, it's funny because the Republicans are accusing the Democrats of being repetitive in their arguments, which shouldn't be a basis of dismissal for any crime. If you did the crime, you did the fucking crime. But the hypocritical part is that the Republicans worked and voted against them bringing new evidence and new witnesses to this thing. So what kind of shit is that? But that's what's going on. That's circus. You know what I'm saying? Green Wall graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fives News report. Now, this coronavirus is actually really seeming to get a hold on people. It's taken 26 lives so far in China, where it started in Wuhan. And initially they had a lockdown on that city of 11 million people. The World Health Organization saying that was basically unprecedented. But now it's spread to, they've had to have the lockdown on 10 different cities, affecting 33 million people. Now, this coronavirus normally causes respiratory diseases in animals and in humans respiratory illnesses, but this particular novel strain of the coronavirus is causing flu-like symptoms and especially affected towards young children and the elderly. Now, it's caused China to actually shut down almost all of their movie theaters, which total at about 70,000, and it's hit other countries as like Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, the United States, South Korea, and Vietnam. Green Wall graduate. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fives News report. So keep in mind that the U.S. we actually, due to a drone strike that took place on January 5th, assassinated an Iranian leader at Baghdad International Airport. So after that, Iraqi parliament actually voted to keep us out, to take the U.S. troops out of Iraq. But they actually, President Trump and the State Department have refused to do so, with the State Department even threatening to shut down Iraq's access to their accounts at the New York Federal Reserve. Well, hundreds of thousands of people actually hit the streets of Baghdad today, Friday, in Baghdad, Iraq, basically demanding the removal of U.S. troops. Now, keep in mind, there have already been anti-government protests going on since October over in Iraq, demanding democratic reform and the removal and the appointment of an independent prime minister. But so for Amnesty International report, 600 protesters have actually been killed due to the security force crackdown, and that they're regularly throwing grenades, live fire, using torture tactics and things of that nature to quell these protests. That will continue going. There were 12 murders this week alone. Green Wall and graduate. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fives News report. So in the White House, actually, Donald Trump is invited next week. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and his opposition leader Benny Gantz to actually come to the White House for the unveiling of his so-called Middle East peace plan. Now, Palestinian leaders say they were not consulted about this peace plan, basically, and they've rejected all sorts of U.S. paragraph, especially since May 2018 when Trump said that that Jerusalem is a part of Israel, and they moved the U.S. embassy over to Jerusalem or whatever. So the U.S. embassy that's supposed to be in Israel, they moved it to Jerusalem and said, this is Israel, when the reality is it's in territory that's essentially considered illegal in a lot of ways, but it's supposed to be Palestinian territory. There's always a fight over that. Now, this peace plan sounds like some more white supremacy bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, only the white people get to hear this plan, and it's supposed to help everybody. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Green War and Graduate. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black House News Report. Now, ever since I told y'all last week about all of that violence that was taking place in Honduras and how there was a migrant caravan that was formed in Honduras in San Pedro Sula, and that was headed north. There've been a lot of arrests of Hondurans along the Central American pathway towards the U.S. lately, and this serves no different. In the southern border of Mexico, the Mexican National Guard, they actually ended up apprehending 800 people that were actually trying to cross the border of Guatemala and Mexico in the Chiapas. So they were actually assaulted. We're talking about one pregnant woman was left unconscious. They were using tear gas and just beating people the fuck up. Now, President AMLO of Mexico, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, actually had promised the Hondurans that were coming up north that, there were jobs there, that they would provide jobs for at least like 4,500 people. But the people there that are detained, they're saying that they've been lied to. But, we'll see what happens as this unfolds. Maybe they're detaining them just to keep them calm and then giving them the jobs, or I don't know. It could be fishy. But AMLO is normally seen to stand on good principle, but he was pressured by Trump to actually even, patrol the southern border as they are doing. Green War and Graduate. What other the world order? Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So the United States, for the first time in 11 years, over 11 years, the United States is actually going to send a U.S. ambassador to Bolivia. And what seems to be like a show of support for the current government setup that they have there. Keep in mind that Janine Áñez, a right-wing chick who was already high in government, actually took the place of President-elect Evo Morales, who had won his fourth term indigenous to the land, but was accused of, rigging the elections and corruption and all of that, and then by what he would call a military coup, pressured by the military of Bolivia to leave the country, and has since done and has to stay out under the threat of an arrest. Now, he accused not only the military but the U.S. of like conjuring up that story. So it's very ironic that now, it was very coincidental, probably not, that the U.S. wants to go in there and show their support and send an ambassador over there. The last ambassador was Philip Goldberg, who was accused by Evo Morales back in 2008 of trying to of him and George Bush trying to destabilize the Bolivian government, and was expelled from the country. So this is the first time those relations have been reestablished. Keep in mind that 32 anti-coup pro-Morales protesters have actually been killed ever since the ousting of Evo Morales this past November. Green War graduate. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So hundreds of people were outside of the governor's mansion out in Puerto Rico. The governor currently being Wanda Vasquez. Some were even carrying a full-size guillotine. The public anger comes after they found understood emergency plies out in Palm, Puerto Rico. And keep in mind that the the Puerto Rico has actually undergone they went through a 6.4 magnitude earthquake, along with a couple of other smaller earthquakes. And these supplies all the way dated back all the way to Hurricane Maria, which would have been Ricardo Rosselló's problem. That was the former governor, whatever, that was recently called to resign. But everybody is demanding currently, or many people are demanding, the ouster of Wanda Vasquez, and the frustration is really high in Puerto Rico, as it should be. You know what I mean? You're talking about every time there's a natural disaster, the whole island has no power. So some real creepy shit going on over there. Green War graduate. The world of the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So the National Archives and Records Administration has officially replaced the photo that they had doctored with the original photo, something that they had to apologize for. Now, this photo was a photo of the 2017 Women's March, which actually caught a lot of signs, a couple of signs that actually were, dissing Trump, as well as like some signs that were, showed some reproductive body parts. These were all blurred out, and there were demands for them to put the original picture up there. I mean, this is history, and this is in an exhibit that's known as that's called Rightfully Hers: American Women and the Vote. So they replaced, put the original signs back. One of the original pictures back, which has people holding signs up. One sign against Trump says "God hates Trump," and they have blurred out Trump. Probably because somebody from the administration was like, "What the fuck is this? You gotta get fucking rid of this." Well, jokes on you. You can't erase history. Green War and graduation. Well, though the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So in the packed courtroom in New York, actress Annabella Sciorra actually testified in the Harvey Weinstein trial, the disgraced Hollywood mogul that's now on trial for raping forcibly and sexually assaulting like a bunch of women. And this woman came up and said that he crept into her apartment in the late 90s, got into it, like broke into her apartment and forcibly raped her. And it left her like feeling extremely depressed. She's tried to cut herself, drinking heavily and all of that jazz. Now this is one of 5 people that are expected to testify in the Harvey Weinstein trial, even though out of the 5, only all but 2 of them have their statute of limitations up. But maybe that new law that's been introduced could helping with that situation in New York specifically. But Harvey Weinstein is also one. First off, that was the first time that one of his accusers, testified against him, and he also has to face he's facing life in prison in New York, but also facing 28 years up in LA County for a similar charge. So Green War graduate. The new world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So over in Arkansas, Liddell Lee, keep in mind this was somebody that was actually executed back in April of 2017 for a murder that took place in 1993, for which he professed his innocence. Now, there's a lawsuit being filed by Lee's sister, or on behalf of Liddell Lee's sister, by the American Civil Liberties Union, as well as the Innocence Project. So shout out to them for standing up for justice and the innocent. Where it seems like this dude is innocent, and they're calling their lawsuit is a FOIA lawsuit, a Freedom of Information request, to basically get new DNA evidence on the crime scenes and crime scene material and on fingerprints and whatnot, because they're arguing that there's no physical evidence that actually ties Lee to the murder. So, and Lee's own defense attorney, or somebody that was assigned to his defense, actually even admitted in an affidavit that he was struggling with a drug addiction at the time of trial and wasn't able to provide effective legal counsel. So, there you have it. We'll see how this unfolds. Green War graduate. Although the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they don't want to have that doomsday clock, right? Well, they actually pushed the long hand of the doomsday clock forward by 20 seconds, putting it 100 seconds away from midnight. Now, this is the closest it's ever been to that midnight time since its inception in 1947. Now, what the fuck does this mean? Well, the whole shit is a metaphor, but it's supposed to be a metaphor backed by scientific scrutiny, if you will. But it's basically determined to basically talk about how the likelihood, or describe the likelihood of a nuclear strike or an existential threat. Now, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they actually blasted President Trump for having backed out of the Cold War era intermediate range nuclear treaty that they had with Russia, and they're begging Trump to actually start or renew the New START treaty, which basically limits the deployed atomic bombs, atomic weapons by U.S. and Russia, and it's set to expire in 2021. We'll see how this turns out. Green War and graduate. The new world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So after a days-long sit-in in Canada and British Columbia, indigenous youth activists were actually sitting outside in protest of the offices of the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources. Their sitting came to an end after 12 of the activists were actually arrested, but they were standing in solidarity, or sitting rather, in solidarity with the Wet'suwet'en First Nation that's actually been protesting against the $6.6 billion coastal gas link frac pipeline project. Now, this has caused a lot of controversy. The Wet'suwet'en Nation, it's happening on their ground. They even issued an eviction notice to get the construction workers off of their site. But keep in mind that the first Royal Canadian Mounted Police have actually set up a checkpoint nearby their area, which is sparking fears of a possible raid on the Wet'suwet'en Nation. So there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of stands of solidarity that's happened with the Wet'suwet'en Nation up there in that area. And this seems like it's, there's also been cries by the indigenous people that Canada has not been respecting the rights of the indigenous nation. So we'll see how this all turns out. Green Wall graduation.